Welcome to Barely Begun. Today I'm going to review Barefoot shoes. If you're self-conscious about your height, it might also be a detriment there because they're, of course, not adding to your height. For a long time I said I was 6 feet tall, really like 5'11", and with age I've come to accept that. These are XERO shoes. HANA is the model. They're also called Minimalist shoes. They have a very flat, even sole that doesn't have a heel depth to it. They have a wide toe box and wide in general. They say that they are true to size, and I have found that to be true. But in the end, I went with size 11 men's, and it's perfect, absolutely perfect. But my toe is right at the top. Not enough to rub or be uncomfortable, but it's right there. So 10.5 definitely would not have worked as a size. And if your foot in an 11 men's or whatever size you wear is already a little tight in a typical shoe, you might want to do a half size up. I usually don't spend a whole lot of money on shoes, sometimes to my detriment. These were $84.99, definitely more than I would normally pay, but I needed shoes anyways, and I wanted to try them out, so I figured I'd see what happened. I've lost some weight recently and also had a significantly less amount of inflammation in my body, and I had already noticed some changes as far as walking and shoe wear goes. Previously, even just walking in my house, I would always have something on my feet, usually Crocs, because if I didn't, I would feel it in my feet, in my heels, my ankles. I didn't want to walk barefoot because it would hurt. Shortly after I had lowered carbs in my diet, that I was feeling a lot less inflammation, and I would be walking without even noticing that I hadn't put on my Crocs. Like if I was just running to the kitchen for something, I would just do it and not feel anything at all. So I certainly couldn't have done this before with such a thin sole, without that cushioning there. Have you tried these type of shoes before? Let me know in the comments. I'd really be curious of your experience, especially if you are a heavier person. Did these work for you, or were they a little too much? I also find that the even lack of heel helps with my posture and my walking. I had always, partly of course because of extra weight on my stomach, sort of lean forward, and it would hurt my back, and I would have to consciously multiple times, an hour, to tell myself, sit back more on your heels, get, my center of gravity back where it's supposed to be. And this is much easier when your shoe wear is not tilting you up forward. Also, my heels don't wear evenly, so, like this sort of thing where you either are walking on the outside of your foot or the inside of your foot, and so your heel wears unevenly, and then you start tilting. I find that it's much easier for me now to put my weight through my big toe, which keeps my foot more even, and that's much easier in these shoes as well. It also encourages less heel-to-toe walking. It lets your foot hit the ground more evenly, because if your heel is the first thing to hit in these shoes, you feel more stress, more impact goes up through your body. It's made me more aware of the way that I walk. I think my gait's a little bit narrower now because my stride isn't as long, because it's more jarring to my body, especially if I'm hitting with my heel first. And oddly enough, it's a little noisier than I'm comfortable with. I tend to want to blend in with the background, and I was always very conscious, especially as a heavy person, of not thumping my way across a floor. So I had tried to have a very sort of light touch with my walk, and this is a little more difficult with that, with the less cushioning, the harder sole, especially on wood floors, makes a little more noise. It's not a lot of noise, it's just more than I used to make, and so I just have to get used to that. I might make a little more noise walking by. That's not a bad thing, it's just something that makes me self-conscious. These have a canvas top, which is protected. I was a little skeptical about that as far as dirt especially, and we are just entering our rainy season where I live. At least so far, it's been okay. The coating, whatever they do to it, sealant protectant, does, my feet haven't been wet, my toes have not been wet. One morning I had been walking through some grass and got some mud and some green stains I had noticed, and I thought, oh, well, I mean, it was inevitable. It was bound to happen. And, maybe when I get home, I'll try and scrub them a little bit and, keep them fine. But by the time I got home, it was already gone. Magically disappeared. So it was not an issue at all. It also makes them incredibly comfortable, especially the whole top part, the part that wraps around your foot. It's just enough that I feel something, sort of like a little hug, but it's not at all constricting or binding. It is amazingly comfortable. Just enough pressure to know that there's something there without in any way constricting my foot. There is an insole that measures 2 millimeters that they say you can take out for more barefoot experience. I just left it in. It didn't seem... I'm a beginner after all, but if you spend the majority of your day on some type of pavement, these might not be the shoe for you, at least as an everyday. I have a gravel driveway, and definitely some of the bigger gravel chunks. The pointier chunks can make it a little challenging to, I definitely feel those and kind of go sort of like stepping on a Lego. When I first opened them, I thought they were a little flimsy looking, and you see this a lot in videos where people curl them up to show them how flexible they are, but my first thought was, well, how is that going to hold up? Something that is that light and flexible, is that just going to fall apart in a month? And that has not happened. It's actually been quite good. I have had certainly cheaper shoes fall apart in the first month, and these are perfectly fine. It's sort of like some electronics are so light, air light, that they put an aluminum slug in there to add some weight, some heft to it, so that people feel more confident in it. People associate a little bit of weight in a product, heft, with quality. And so I think I just had that response to the shoes, which is, how can this hold up if it's not clunky and, thick? Regardless of your body type, I would say they would take some work to work into running or jogging or any type of extended use in an exercise fashion, hiking. But my body can't take running regardless of the shoe, so that really hasn't been an issue for me. It's not something I tried out or have to adapt to, because I'm not running anywhere anyways. On the whole, I found them very good. I think I'll keep wearing them. I don't see any reason that I would not get another pair next time when I want another pair of shoes, or when these wear out. I found them worth trying, for sure.